Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir tout le monde. Merci d'avoir joindre avec nous ce soir. Thank you for joining us. We're here tonight to have our regular council meeting for February 22nd, 2021. Cette réunion fut tenue en huis clos et les membres du conseil assistent de manière virtuelle conformément à l'arrêté ministériel 2020-074 le 2 octobre 2020. Good evening, everyone. As I said, we're meeting together virtually tonight. I'm joined this evening by Councillors Maria Torres, Councillor Colleen Feeney, Councillor Dino Mazzoni, as well our Director General, Maître Raphael Destasio, our Town Clerk, Maître Claude Gilbert, and our Communications Officer, Ms. Manon Schalk. Unfortunately, Councillor Elizabeth Yulin was not feeling well tonight, so she's not with us this evening. Si je peux voir quelqu'un pour faire l'ouverture de la séance, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose d'ouvrir la séance.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je seconde la proposition. J'appuie la proposition, excuse-moi.
Merci, le conseiller Mazzoni. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Parfait, merci. L'adoption de l'ordre du jour, s'il vous plaît.
Oh, oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose d'adopter l'ordre du jour de la séance ordinaire du 22 février 2021, tel que présenté.
Merci, la conseillère Fini. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, j'appuie la proposition.
Merci, le conseiller Mazzoni. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Oui.
Merci. L'approbation des procès-verbaux.
Oui, je propose d'approuver les procès-verbaux des séances du conseil tenues aux dates suivantes. Séance ordinaire du 25 janvier 2021 et séance spéciale du 18 février 2021.
Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît. Merci, la conseillère Torres. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Monsieur le maire, j'appuie la proposition.
Merci, conseiller Mazzoni. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to go over, we had our regular council meeting last month on on January 25th. And on the 18th of February, we had a special council meeting to approve an expense of up to $5,000 for a lawyer that will be representing the demerged towns in a case being brought forward by Beaconsfield against the agglomeration of Montreal, but in which all the other demerged towns are named as interested parties. So we have a lawyer that will be representing all of us to defend our interests in that case should the need arise. So there is nothing under correspondence. Really, quite honestly, there's nothing under the report of the mayor. As I mentioned, we're holding this meeting in a huis clos, so in a virtual manner. So our first question period, when we get to that, our first question period, everybody has been invited to ask questions pertaining to any subject that they wanted to, and they were asked to submit those questions until 3 p.m. today via our website. And then in the second question period, they will be allowed to ask questions live as they send them in to us via email, but only on matters that were arising in the agenda. And what we're doing tonight is we're moving things up a little bit. We're having the councillors report right after where normally the report of the mayor would be, to make sure that everybody is still listening to hear the important things that our councillors have to say. So we're going to move right to councillors' reports, and reporting from seat number 3 on matters pertaining to the urban planning, finance, administration, and human resources, Councillor Colleen Feeney.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Bonsoir tout le monde. I'll start off my report tonight just briefly talking about the finance department. The finance office team is busy closing the 2020 fiscal year and preparing for the audit of the town and the pension fund. And I wanted to notify residents that you will see on the website a list of all the contracts that we undertook during the 2020 year that were $25,000 or more. And this is in 2 lists. One of them is for those that were on their own, $25,000 and more, and they're part of the SEAO, which is an electronic bidding system of the government. However, in addition to this, we have, as per the Cities and Towns Act and the requirements, put forward a list of all other contracts that are $2,000 or more, but over the year, if they amount to a total of $25,000, they are also listed in a separate list. And they include anything from snow clearing to insurance, etc. So if you're interested in looking at those lists, both of the lists can be accessed on our website under Finance Town Contracts. And I also wanted to remind people of the deferral of the tax payment, property tax payment, from their usual dates. The first installment is now due May 25th, and the second installment is due August the 27th. Later on in the meeting, you will notice that there's a few things we're going to be discussing under finance. The first is disbursements. And this past month, the town spent $1,087,780. And as usual, I like to give residents an idea of where your tax money went this past month. So there's pretty normal things. So about a quarter, almost a quarter of it, about $260,000 went on deductions at source and benefits and insurances, etc. After that, the next largest expenditure was public works, which it usually is, no surprise here. And that was again about $260,000. And the main expenditures there were snow clearing for over $98,000, salt, asphalt, and gravel for $25,000, and all the 3 types of garbage contracts, garbage, recycling, and compost, that was $32,000. As well, this past month, we wrote checks for the grants that we approved in our budget, and that is to the 2 libraries and to the Informer and to the Montreal-Ouest Community Services Council. That amounted to $196,000. And the 4th largest expense was related to capital expenditures, $98,000 for a Ford F-250 and $18,000 for preparatory work done by consultants for work we're going to be doing on Fenwick infrastructure. So those are the main expenditures for this past month. You'll also notice later in the meeting that we are going to be refinancing loans for a total of $1,373,000. Now, these are loans that we previously had, and instead of taking out for 10 years, we usually have a 5-year due date on these, and this allows us after the 5 years to either renegotiate the loans at a better price or to pay down a certain amount of them. So these are not new loans. These are loans dating back, some of them to 2006 and 2010. That pretty much takes care of finance. On the urban planning, 16 permits were issued in the month of February for various projects, and PAC had a very full schedule at their February meeting, so there'll be many more permits approved in the month of March. The next meeting of PAC is March 17th, and submissions for that are due on March the 3rd. And I want to remind residents, in case you haven't listened to this before, that although your urban planning department is fully operational during the pandemic, permit applications can only be made online through the town's website. And the procedure is explained under urban planning. So please take a look there if you want to have any work done. And finally, on the Seniors Committee, the Seniors Advisory Committee is meeting tomorrow evening to continue their work on the Plan of Action timetable. The Senior Outreach Program continues, delivering groceries and making calls to seniors' households. And this month, the volunteers were given the current information about the vaccines in order to inform the seniors and ask them if they had any questions. And we have also been posting various Zoom conferences of interest to seniors, knowing that this keeps them connected in this period of social isolation. So they are generally announced on our e-bulletins, and they're often on the town calendar. An upcoming one of interest is on March the 16th at 1 p.m. and it is dealing with the topic of fraud. And you can sign up for this through the town. So it's on the website. And there'll also be another webinar on March the 11th at 3 p.m. called The Right to an Age-Friendly City. And this is being hosted by a prior member of our MATA committee, Dr. Megan Joy from Concordia. And for that particular one, you have to sign up through Concordia. So that's it for me tonight. If you have any questions, you can ask them later in the meeting, or you can email me directly through my town website. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. And reporting on for matters pertaining to the environment, public works, and buildings, from seat number 4, Councillor Maria Torres.
Thank you. Bonsoir à tous. Good evening. Since the council meeting on January 25th, we have had 10 days of snow removal operations. The average snow accumulation for the island of Montreal per season, snow season, is about 190 centimeters, and we have already almost reached that total. And since you can expect at least one more month of winter to go, we would like to remind you of the following. First, whenever possible, avoid leaving your vehicles on the street during snowstorms, as well as immediately after snowstorm, since it affects our operational efficiency and impact the time it takes to clean snow from the town streets and sidewalks. In other words, when it's snowing, if you can park your cars or vehicles on your driveway, that would facilitate the entire operation. Secondly, it is imperative that residents respect all the no parking signage during the snow removal operations. Those orange signs that we put every time we do the work. Remember that these measures are in place to ensure the safety and security of the residents and our workers. In addition, try to park at least 6 inches away from the sidewalk in order to give enough room for the sidewalk plows to pass. Now, moving away from snow, I'm happy to report that we only had one minor water break. I think it was on Valentine, and it was capped right away. It didn't affect any residents. And that all the maintenance across town and on public buildings was done on schedule. Last, I would like to mention that last month we had mentioned that we were cutting down a lot of the ash trees that are in public land. Currently, we have a contractor who's doing the job in the 3 sectors of town. If you have any questions and or comments about this work, please contact Public Works directly right away. They will be able to answer your questions. Now, my report is very short, and we like to keep it like that. But if you have any questions, you want more details about what we do on a daily basis, what maintenance means and all that, please let me know. I'll be happy to talk to you about it. But meanwhile, this is what we have done. We have spent a lot of time cleaning snow. That's it for me tonight, and thank you. Have a good evening and be safe.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. Reporting from seat number 1 on matters pertaining to public security and to special projects fundraising, Councillor Dino Mazzoni.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, everyone. Bonsoir tout le monde. My report also will be relatively short and sweet. We did not have any real serious calls or crimes reported for February. We continue to remark, the PSOs and the department in general, that it is very quiet in our town after 8 p.m. with the curfew in effect. So, of course, as I mentioned, these months have been quiet, no real major incidents. And we only see the odd person walking a dog after 8 p.m., probably myself, since the curfew has been in place. Our PSOs have assisted Public Works with 3 snow removal operations. Councillor Torres has indicated that they've been very busy with snow, and that is in fact the case. We have noticed an increase in compliance this past month, as we only needed to tow away 1 vehicle for obstructing the snow removal process. So we do appreciate your cooperation. In early February, we continued to see garbage bins and bags that lingered past Friday, as some of the business owners may have not been aware that the garbage pickup date had changed from Friday to Thursday as of last December 24th. Many of these businesses had been closed by the decree of the provincial government as of Christmas, and as such, they may not have been aware. So during the week of February the 8th, as most of the businesses reopened, our PSOs went door to door with a flyer to make sure that every business and office was aware that garbage day had moved to Thursday. And we have noticed a huge improvement since then. Earlier this month, we had received another complaint for conflicting temporary signage for the one-way sidewalks on the Hump Bridge. We actually talked about that in one of our last council meeting. This was corrected, and our PSOs will monitor the signs to ensure that they do in fact remain in place. And finally, vis-a-vis departmental activity, our PSOs continue to assist building inspection and the other departments that are working remotely as a result of the pandemic. In terms of COVID-19 specific measures, we really did not have any new measures implemented in the town. One small crime to report, but somewhat interesting, because this is a theft that doesn't seem to just occur here in Montreal-West, and it's on the rise. we noticed that we were alerted to a catalytic converter that was stolen on January the 28th, or at least stolen much earlier in the month, but only reported to us on January the 28th. I did not know what a catalytic converter is or was, but it seems to reduce airborne pollutants and makes the car a lot more efficient. These thefts have been on the rise. A lot of the metals that are involved in that are very high in value. And so we are noticing that there are thieves that are targeting these vehicles that are known to be able to remove the catalytic converter very easily. They can happen really anywhere. The one that took place in our town happened right in the parking lot of Town Hall. So it happens. And so our PSOs are aware. They're going to keep notice. And any citizens who notice anyone suspicious kind of lingering around the car or hovering around it too long, by all means, please call us or call 911. No real other announcements to make other than, again, due to the pandemic and the fact that many people are still working from home, we ask the residents who park on the street, again, to pay particular attention to the street signage, that particularly the orange signs, after any significant snowfall. When these signs appear, it is forbidden to park on the street between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. when snow removal operations take place. And again, those cars that are illegally parked will be removed and fines of upwards to $154 can be issued. And finally, please note that it is forbidden for a resident or for their contractor to push or deposit snow from the property onto someone else's private property. Not a nice thing. We had 2 such complaints this week alone, not neighborly. We propose that you don't do it. So there you go. That's my short and sweet report. Si vous avez des questions, vous pouvez toujours m'appeler directement sur mon numéro cellulaire 514-949-3055, or I'm more than happy to answer a question in the second question period of this council meeting. That is my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mazzoni. And as I said, Councillor Yulin's not there, but she sent me a report. So reporting for seat number 2 on matters pertaining to communications, recreation, and culture. I'm going to read to you Councillor Yulin's report. Unfortunately, our traditional March break camp won't be permitted this year as we're still in a red zone. But I do want to speak a bit about our summer camp. I've gotten a number of inquiries about whether we'll be running a camp this year and would like to assure residents that yes, we are planning to have a camp. Of course, as with all things COVID, this plan can be appended depending to the virus and the government's response to it. But as of now, we're planning to run the camp. Just like the pool opening last year, the camp will likely have more restrictions than normal. Smaller groups, different activities, even some limits on registration. All the details will be available soon. But we know you want to get organized for your kids' summer as soon as possible, and the camp plan is the top priority for the recreation staff at the moment. In the next few weeks, we should be able to begin registration, and we'll send out an e-bulletin as that happens. A couple of the upcoming seniors activities I want to mention are a talk on fraud with the SPVM on March 16th, and a session with Senior Discovery Tours to discuss the current travel situation on March 28th. In special events, we have continued to have our ad hoc pop-up entertainment providing music and hot chocolate at the outdoor rinks. On February 27th and March 4th, you'll be able to try out some free snowshoeing in the parks. You just have to register on Amelia. And the deadline for our Creative Snowman Challenge has been extended to March 7th. Our annual Cottontail Party will be replaced by an egg hunt in the park on March 28th and an Easter egg themed house decorating contest that same week. Details are all on the website. Now that we can open the arena, free skate and family hockey rentals will be back starting February 27th. Please check the website to book a slot. I want to thank all the residents who have taken the time to get in touch with me about their enjoyment of all the outdoor rinks and other winter play areas we've set up. The rec staff have worked so hard to create and maintain these spaces, and it's been really nice to pass along how well they're appreciated. And the current artist showcase theme is the great outdoors. You can check out the work of our 9 participating artists on the website. So that's it for Councillor Yulin's report. We'll go back now to our first question period. As I mentioned, people were invited to submit their questions via our website until 3 p.m. today. And then the items could be on any matter, any town matter. And then in the second question period, you will have a chance to send in questions related strictly to the agenda. Nous répondrons aux questions maintenant des résidents soumis jusqu'à 15 heures aujourd'hui sur n'importe quel sujet. Au cours de la deuxième période de questions, nous répondrons aux questions relatives à l'ordre du jour soumis via notre site web lors de cette réunion. All right, let me get started here. So the first question period, what I'm going to do is sometimes we have the same question asked by many people. So what I tend to do in that case is I'll mention all the people that asked the question and I'll group it and I'll just read the question from one person. Let me get to the top of my page here. All right, the first question comes from Tanya Radhakrishna at 127 Percival. The same question was also asked by Eileen O'Reilly at 139 Percival, Rosemary Smith at 82 Strather North, Joanne Dewey at 232 Percival, Sue Mahu at 114 Brock North, Sheila Kaplan at 188 Sheraton Drive, Julia Clark at 25 Ballantyne South, and Hayden Ross at 233 Percival. So the question is, I understand that the Environment Committee is recommending that the town support the planting of pollinator-friendly plants to support biodiversity. I would like to encourage the town to seriously consider this proposal. In addition to plantings on town property, where feasible, perhaps residents could be given some guidance on planting pollinator-friendly options in their own gardens. This could include the rationale, the options available, and the characteristics of each option. Perhaps a seed or plant sale could be developed by the town or in partnership with another organization. Does the town have a plan to support biodiversity? I'm going to ask Councillor Maria Torres to answer that question, please.
First of all, I have to unmute. Thank you so much, Tanya, and everybody else who wrote letters in support. I'm very happy that so many of you are in favor of this project and want to support us. You have given us valuable suggestions, which I will pass them to the Environment Action Committee for to be included in our proposal. And for all of you who do not know, the Environment Action Committee at the moment is working on a project which includes the creation of small habitats or pollinator gardens across town. And it's going to be presented to council at the end of March. It's not completed yet. We're in the research stage. We have pretty good idea what they have very good ideas what they want to process, but it still needs to be discussed further with council. We will let you know maybe by the end of next general council meeting, we have something more in concrete, and I will be very happy to announce everybody else what we want to do. But in the meantime, I want to thank you so much for your support and all your valuable suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres, and thank you very much, Tanya, Eileen, Rosemary, Joanne, Sue, Sheila, Julia, and Hayden. Question comes from Eileen O'Reilly, 139 Percival. Please accept my gratitude for the wonderful job being done to maintain the public rinks. The ones near the arena are wonderful. Thank you. I'm sorry, I guess that wasn't a question, but thank you very much for your positive comment, Eileen. Next question comes from Mark Lieberg, 61 Nelson Street. This winter, we have really enjoyed using the dog run that is sectioned off at Hodgson Field. What are the plans for the spring when the field reverts to use as a soccer and recreational area? Will there be another area designated in this part of town? I know there's another dog park near Town Hall, but are there plans to maintain a second dog run in this area? No, Mark, unfortunately, like this is not the first year that we have that winter dog space there on Hodgson Field. In the summer, as you correctly mentioned, the field is used for other activities. So we do not have a plan right now to open up a second dog area in the town. We were very, very lucky that we have defined a great area near Town Hall that really hasn't caused any problems for anybody. And unfortunately, at Hodgson Field, having a dog run area in the times when the rest of the field is being used for other activities will be problematic. So right now, as it stands, there is no other plan to open up that same area for a dog space outside the winter. Thank you very much for your question, Mark. Next question comes from Anne Roop, 152 Bedbrook. Again, sorry, no question. Just wanted to thank you for the snow hills and ice rinks around town. It's a winter wonderland. Oh, and thank you for the speedy snow removal on the streets as well. Much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you very much for your positive comment, Anne. I know that we'll forward this to the recreation staff and to the public works staff. Next question comes from Sylvia Gervais, 164 Wolseley Avenue North. Starts, once again, thank you for your great work. Will you be posting on your site if there are any COVID variant cases in town? Thank you. Great job snow clearing. Sylvia, we don't post, well, we post the information that the Health Montreal sends us, and they have not sent us any information about whether or not there are variants in the town as such. They just give us a number, total cases that have since the beginning of the pandemic, how many have been in the last 24 hours, how many have been in the last 2 weeks. So we don't have that information about variants. Unfortunately, we can only report the information that is given to us. Even if we were given variants, I'm not exactly sure what the legalities are involved with that. Like I said, we can't publish people's names. We can't publish where they came across these variants or anything like that. So we're only allowed to publish what Santé Montreal gives us. Thank you very much for your question, Sylvia. Farhan Banji asks, the intersection at Avon and Westminster is much safer with the traffic lights. With a son at RWA who walks with his friends, I'm very happy about that. When the traffic lights went down and there were a four-way stop flashing red, it occurred to me that that could be an efficient approach at nighttime. Many of us are physicians and have to rush to the Glen site at the MUHC for urgent patient care at night. Personally, I work in the PICU where seconds count. Waiting for a traffic light with no traffic around is stressful. Thank you for the question, Mr. Banji or Dr. Banji. So the reality is that those traffic lights right now, or when they were installed even, they belong to KPH Turcotte, and they were put in there as a temporary measure while the Turcotte project was being undertaken. We've seen the benefits of that light, and we're in the process of buying that light, those lights. Until we buy the lights, we do not have access to the control panel, to the control system that programs the lights to have anything other than the regular cycle. Once we have those, once we've purchased those lights and we've installed them permanently, we will then have access to some of the programming, and we can then evaluate whether or not we can have it a flashing red at night. It actually is a valid thing to look at and to be evaluated. So that is something that we would look at. We just can't do it now until we become owners of those lights. Thank you very much for your question. Next question, ça vient de Caroline Coombs à 69 Wolseley Avenue Nord. Prévoyez-vous des camps de jour pour les résidents de Montréal-Ouest pour cet été? Si oui, quelle sera la période d'inscription? Comme j'avais dit ou comme j'ai lu dans le rapport de la conseillère Yulin, oui, on travaille maintenant avec l'idée qu'on va ouvrir les camps de jour cet été. On prévoit avoir la période d'inscription après la semaine de relâche. Alors, il y aura des renseignements qui vont suivre par email ou sur notre site web de la ville. Comme je dis, on travaille maintenant avec l'idée qu'ils vont ouvrir cet été, mais c'est toujours avec le caveat que les règlements ou les contraintes qui peuvent s'imposer par le gouvernement provincial. Alors, merci pour votre question, Caroline Combs. The next question is from Abby and Olivia Porter, 141 Bedbrook Avenue. Hello, we are wondering if the summer programs such as the camp and the pool will be accessible to the residents. Thank you. As I mentioned before, Abby and Olivia, in Councillor Yulin's report, we will be, the recreation staff is now working on the idea that we will be opening up our camps and whatever form that they will take with extra restrictions and different modes of operation. But right now we are working on the idea that they will open. More information will be coming on our website, and you can look for a registration period to be announced after spring break. Thank you very much. Next question comes from Ellen Moore, 122 Percival Avenue. Number one, why are we still using salt on roads and sidewalks when we know that it kills life in the surrounding vegetation and contributes to salinating the rivers and seas? Not desirable. Why are we not receiving clearer guidance about recycling? There are many things where recycling is not necessarily a given. Rubber bands, thin plastic bags, cellophane, for example. I'm going to turn that over to Councillor Torres, please.
Yes, thank you. And hello, Ellen, how are you? Well, let me start with the first question. That's a very good point. Salt, as we know, is not the best for the environment. However, we do it mainly for safety reasons. We have not found any other product that is sustainable and as efficient as salt to keep our roads clear of ice and snow. And I'd like to add that our public works department, the environment department, are always looking for different products. They're always researching about what's out there that anybody is bringing new. And we are in touch with other towns across Canada, mostly in Quebec, about what they're using, what they're experimenting. Sometimes that have more resources than us. We wait for them to experiment, and then we share the information. But even those towns, as has been with the case of Westmount or Point Claire, they have not found either a good solution, a good sustainable solution. So, but we do keep looking for different solutions, and as soon as we find a good one, you be sure that we're going to have to evaluate it and consider very seriously. Now, secondly, moving to your second question, why we're not receiving clearer guidance about recycling. There are a lot of things that you're not very clear. You're absolutely right, and it is very frustrating that there are so many items out there that also we wish that they would be recyclable, because if they're made out of rubber or plastic, it should be recyclable, right? Well, that's not the case. The rule of thumb is that we have listed on our website all the items that our recycling companies in Quebec are recycling. Outside that, they might not recycle as much as we would like to, the rubber bands and a lot of other items. If you want to have more information on what to do with those items, instead of sending them to the landfill, then there is the website that has been created by Recycle Quebec, which is called Sava'u. You can download this app and it will tell you if you can take these items somewhere else where they could be either reused or a different alternative than to send them to the landfill. And I'm glad you asked a question, because last time you asked about the Comet containers and I said I would look into it. My first instant was it was not recyclable because of the metallic paper on the outside. And I was absolutely right. But it's one of the frustration things, because you cannot find that on our website, not on Sava'u either. However, I did contact the Comet company and they said, no, it is not recyclable, because even though the box itself is made out of recyclable material, because of the metallic paper outside, it is not. Now, hopefully with this strategy that we're doing, the waste management strategy, we can clarify a lot more or give a lot more information. But for the time being, please check our website, and if not, download the Sava'u app, and it would give you a very clear indication what to do with your items. That's all I can tell you tonight, and hope to hear it from you again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres, and thank you for your question, Ellen Moore. Next question comes from Barbara Malcolmson Bailey. A very large group of people has been meeting daily at the dog park in Hodgson's Field, without masks and without distancing. When a constable from public security broke up a small pickup hockey game, all participants were wearing masks. He told them the dog park people were not violating any rules. Why are these dog owners allowed to congregate closely, i.e. sitting on benches together without wearing masks? And why is there no limit to the number of people? In brackets, I am a dog owner, so are some other complainants. Thank you for your question, Barbara Malcolmson Bailey. Councillor Torres, excuse me, Councillor Mazzoni, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Barbara, for your question. Look, you're raising some legitimate questions and certainly some concerns. I mean, when I'm hearing this, and I'm going to work on the assumption that your fact pattern is correct, and I'm not going to necessarily take issue per se about some of what you're writing. But if that is in fact taking place, people need to be more mindful. I mean, it goes without saying. Look, let me just reiterate what the rules are. First of all, our PSOs are not there to act as police officers. They're really there to educate. They're in the role of sensitizing people to what the rules are in place for COVID and how we can all better protect ourselves. The other thing I'd mention is that when it comes to any sporting or recreational activities that are outside in public places, people within the same residence or no more than 4 people from different residences can get together. And again, there has to be the social distancing and whatnot. But, we can't be there all the time, number one. And number two, really, and we've said this from the beginning of this whole pandemic, a lot of this enforcement really comes down to all of us. So where you're there, or if you see it, or if you see a neighbor who's perhaps engaging in an activity that you think perhaps puts someone else at risk, just kindly mention it and remind them. Really, the PSOs cannot be the last line of defense. They just can't be. We all need to be part of this process and contribute to our well-being. So I hope that helps you a little bit in the answer, but we will, of course, continue to be raising this educational process with people as the PSOs work their way through town. Thank you, Barbara, for this question.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mazzoni. And if I could add something, the PSOs do not even have the power to enforce the COVID rules. That falls strictly to the SPVM. So as Councillor Mazzoni mentioned, our PSOs are there to help educate, to help make people aware. But if you feel that there's an egregious disregard for the rules, you're more than welcome to call the SPVM if you feel that your interventions directly with the resident haven't brought fruit. Thank you very much, Ms. Malcolmson Bailey. Next question comes from Michael Smith, 14 Brock North. I'm curious if the town has had considered a policy to support and grow our commercial tax base. Have you considered giving residents a break off of property taxes? In other words, if we spend X dollars on shops on Westminster, I can see that as a win-win. Put a cap on the rebate, floor on the spend, make it interesting enough and have a support, or even make it by category, services, shops, and restaurants. Councillor Feeney, if you could address the question, please.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Michael, for your question. Yes, we don't have a formal policy in terms of a written policy for the growth of the commercial tax base. However, certainly in our strategic financial plan, we want to grow our overall tax base. And certainly the Easton, which is a mixed-use building going up at the corner of Avon and Westminster, helps fulfill this, because this will have the opportunity for business on the main floor there as well. But we have done several things, yes, definitely to support and grow the businesses. One of them is we've worked with the merchants. We're very, very happy that they have revitalized and brought back their Merchants Association, and we're working closely with them. Some of the things we're working on together are some zoning bylaws, the beautification of Westminster. We already put in furniture there. We gave them terraces for those who wanted. We've done some plantings. We've supported them in terms of a street fair, which we would like to continue to do when we're allowed to all gather together. So we've definitely, we want to grow them. As well, we were very involved in a new project, which was by PME Montreal Centre-Ouest. And this is an organization which fosters entrepreneurship to stimulate local economic activity in order to support the creation and growth of viable businesses in the town. And luckily, we struck up a partnership with them. They were working with our merchants to try to market them and also to provide granting for some renovations, internal renovations. And the town was also going to be working in collaboration with them to also do some potential granting opportunities for the businesses for their exteriors. Unfortunately, during COVID, that all stopped. We hope that we can resurrect that as soon as that is over. So that's a very big initiative. We're moving towards our support and growth of our commercial sector. We do give them free advertising on our website and promote them whenever we can through e-bulletins. And in the pandemic, we collaborated with them. They had a program, a couple of the restaurants anyway, for delivering meals to seniors. So through our recreation department and our volunteers, we collaborated on that effort. all this to say, we are very interested in making sure we have a good and strong and viable community and a commercial space there. We've done a lot. We can always look at different things. Your project that you consider, it would have to take a lot more looking into it to see if it's even legal to give those kinds of subsidies. But rest assured that definitely we are doing what we can to support the businesses. And also, well, we want to encourage residents, and we have done so whenever we can to support them, because we know that it's vital for them too. So thank you. We'll keep looking. I'll look to see if this is viable in any way. But thank you for your question, and it is of a great interest to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney, and thank you for your question, Michael Smith. Next question comes from Marie-Claude Messier. Can you please, excuse me, at 309 Ronald, can you please explain why the traffic light at the Avon Ronald bus stops will be removed and replaced by a mandatory stop? My children feel safer crossing the road with the traffic light. They say that the cars barely stop when there was a stop previously. Also, a mandatory stop for hundreds/thousands of cars every day increases the deceleration, acceleration noises for the neighborhood, as well as the increasing carbon emissions. Thank you, Marie-Claude. Councillor Mazzoni, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Marie-Claude, for your question. The light that you're referring to was installed by the Ministry of Transport during the Turcotte project, since Avon was used as a temporary alternate road, and that equipment belongs to KPH Turcotte. We agreed from the very beginning of this project that we would return to the stop sign once the work was done. And in fact, since the work has been completed, we're noticing the traffic has reduced in that area. Now, I know it may not necessarily give you the comfort you want to hear, but our intention as a town is to assess moving the temporary Westminster Avon lights. That, again, as our mayor mentioned in a response to Dr. Banji, we're in the process of acquiring by relocating them to Avon Ronald's intersection when we rebuild the Avon Westminster intersection and put new lights there. So that we're a bit off in terms of timing from that, but that's kind of the game plan. I will say one thing, you know, I am very sensitive to the fact that people are not making their stops, particularly at stop signs. You are not wrong. I actually indicated to caucus before we went on air tonight that I'm seeing way too much of that. So what I will say to you, and I will say to anyone who will listen, is that if you see any type of behavior that way, videotape it, take note of who the license plate, report it to Station 9. I've done it, and it requires you to fill in the form and potentially to be a witness in a traffic violation case. But sometimes it's just worth the effort, because we really got to stop people from speeding in our town. So again, thank you, Marie-Claude. If you have any further questions, you definitely can reach out to me directly.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mazzoni, and thank you for your question, Marie-Claude Messier. Next question comes from Olga Gross, 51 Banstead. The City of Montreal provides financial assistance and subsidies to homeowners for the costly removal of diseased ash trees on private property, as do the towns of DDO, Kirkland, Dorval, St. Anne de Bellevue, and Pointe-Claire. Why is Montreal-West not helping homeowners with this costly expense? You're right, these towns do offer a subsidy to remove dead trees. Montreal-West was the first one actually out of the gate to provide subsidies for triazine treatments for sick ash trees on private property, or actually to prevent advancing the emerald ash borer on private trees in our town. We were the first town to offer a rebate on that. That's not something that we've done to consider removing or subsidizing the removal. From what I understand, the towns that you mentioned are offering somewhere between $100 and $200, but it's not something that we've considered in the past. It's something that we can put on the plate and see if it's something that we can afford to do. So that I appreciate your suggestion, and it's something we'll take under advisement. Thank you for your questions, Olga Gross. The next question comes from Susan LG, 37 Brock North. This is more a concern than a question. Joggers on Sherbrooke and Westmount are very hard to avoid, as one attempts to maintain the 2-meter rule. Would the town consider signage or some other measure suggesting that people avoid these major thoroughfares when jogging? Councillor Mazzoni, please.
I really don't have much to say to that, Susan. I think at the end of the day, people have to use their better judgment. The reality is you're going to have these instances. I don't think this is necessarily the norm. It's probably more the exception. And the rules have been proliferated and enunciated and repeated over and over and over again, so many different ways that I can't even imagine. So at this point, to put any type of resource or time or money towards dealing with this specifically, to me, would not necessarily be something I personally think would make too much sense, but we have to use our better judgment. That's all I really can say. Your comments made known, it's out there. And if you feel that there's perhaps, people like the mayor mentioned earlier that are perhaps way too close and not listening to kind of moving away from you, report it to the police, because they're the only people who can actually enforce the COVID restrictions. Thank you for your question and comment, Susan.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mazzoni, and thank you for your question, Susan LG. Next question comes from Marlene Cousins, 10 Rennie Avenue. I see that the 2021 budget plans include road and water infrastructure work on Fenwick Avenue. I would be grateful if you could also do the road and infrastructure work on Rennie Avenue. We have lived on Rennie for 38 years. In bad storms, the sewer drains cannot handle the water and basements leak. While our house has copper and PVC pipes, I understand that the pipes from the town are lead. All around us, there have been road and infrastructure works done on Easton, Broadwick, and now Fenwick. Rennie needs the work done as well. Thank you. And thank you for your question, Marlene Cousins. Unfortunately, we're bound by what we can do every year. So this year we're doing the length of Fenwick. We have a hope that when we do Fenwick, some of the issues that you've mentioned with basements backing up may be corrected anyway, because usually when we put in, when we redo the infrastructure work, we put in a storm sewer system anyway, and that increased capacity may help ease some of the strain on the existing sanitary sewers. And at the same time, if there are any lead if there are any lead service entrants, that's right, we do correct them until the property line, and we encourage people to consider replacing them from the property line into their homes as well. I don't know that necessarily there are lead mains on Fenwick, quite honestly, but it's going to be replaced this winter and this summer anyway. So thank you very much for Marlene Cousins. When we have more water breaks, unfortunately, that's one of the gold standards that the government uses to allow us to move a street up in priority. It's not a political question, quite honestly. It's really a question of what we can get granting for. And unfortunately, Rennie doesn't fall under the criteria that allows us to get grants yet. Thank you for your question, Marlene Cousins. La prochaine question vient de Raïda Baklouti, 302 Westminster Nord. Bonsoir, je voudrais savoir si on a le droit d'utiliser un barbecue à charbon dans notre terrain. Merci Raïda. Oui, la réponse simple c'est oui, vous avez toujours le droit d'utiliser un barbecue à charbon dans votre cour, dans votre terrain. Merci pour la question. Thank you for your question, Raïda Baklouti. Next question comes from Domenica Puccini at 24 Ronald. Good evening, everyone. I would like to go back to two questions that I sent last fall and I'm still waiting for repair dates. First, concerning the stairs leading from Courtney down to Ronald Drive, the stairs urgently require maintenance. The gaps are uneven and the deep indents are dangerous. And two, repairs for the sinking asphalt from the work done by gas company, particularly in front of my home at 22-24 Ronald. Please advise status for both of these issues. For the repairs this spring, question mark. Thank you. Hope everyone is taking good care during this pandemic. Councillor Torres, please, if you can answer the questions. Councillor Torres, you're on mute still.
Sorry about that. Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mrs. Puccini, for asking. Okay, the answer to your first question is concerning the stairs leading from Courtney down to Ronald Drive. We evaluate all the work to be done on sidewalks and the staircase in this case in the spring, so we would have a better idea where it's at and when we can do it. So give us a couple of months till we do the whole evaluation and then we'll let you know. And your second question has to do with the work that it was done in front of your house and the asphalt is sinking. I was just informed before we came on air that right now we're evaluating the whole situation. We need to confirm that the work that Energier did is responsible for the sinking of the road. And if that is the case, we have to ask them to repair it. And if not, we have to do it. But right now we're doing that evaluation. We have to establish that before and to confirm it. So you will have an answer soon enough as well, because it is something, as I said, that we're working at the moment. Thank you so much for your question, and have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres, and thank you for your questions, Domenica Puccini. Next question comes from Farah Issa at 307 Promenade Ronald, Montreal-West. What kind of operation is licensed at 148 Ronald in Montreal-West? Councillor Feeney, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much, Farah, for your question. In that zone, it is actually zoned heavy commercial, light industrial. To be more specific, that whole building, the owner of the building 120 to 166 Ronald is a company. So we can assume that 148 Ronald is a tenant. Now, it's not as easy for us to get the documents that are needed when our urban planning department is working remotely, but they can come in and try to look through hard copies and see what information we do have. But I would tell you, Farah, if this is an urgent issue, please feel free to give me more details and email me on my town email, cfeeney@montreal-west.ca, or to fill in a form on the website of the town too, and give a little bit more detail and ask, so that we will see how we can pursue this for you. But at the moment, we don't actually know specifically what business is at 148 because they are tenants. Okay, hope that answers your question at least partially, and please feel free to follow up with us as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney, and thank you for your question, Farah Issa. Next question comes from Oriana Sutorius at 144 Westminster Avenue North. Will there be a stoplight built on Westminster? Very few people, many Mo West residents, do not obey the 30-kilometer-an-hour signage and speed down Westminster. Also, very few people are patient enough to let small children and slower walkers cross the road at Nelson Cross and at the Curzon crossing. Frankly, it's dangerous. The zebra walk is also very faded at the crossings along Westminster. Can more 30-kilometer signs be put up along Westminster? Could a digital kilometers reader which indicates slow down once drivers have exceeded 30 kilometers, be installed on each side of the road? Councillor Mazzoni, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So thank you, Oriana. You're raising a lot of questions. Let me try to go through them. We don't have any new plans or any plans for a new stoplight or stop sign or stoplight or traffic light on Westminster. As for the faded lines, yes, we are aware that the road marking paint doesn't last as long as it used to, because back in 2009, the rules had changed, federally at least, and it limits the use of certain organic compounds. And as a result, the road marking now can only be done in water-based paint, and it barely lasts about a year. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Those lines will be repainted as soon as possible in the spring. In terms of the 30, adding additional 30-kilometer-an-hour signage, if any is missing, of course, we can certainly look into putting those signs up and down. Again, I don't think it's about the signs not being there. I just think people are not respecting the signs that are there. To go back to Marie-Claude Messier, who asked the question, and she raised a concern about, people driving much faster, not making full stops. That's a real problem. It's a real problem. So what I will say to you is that we all need to be part of the solution. Please file complaints, whether online with our Station 9. They, by the way, they respond very quickly to your online complaints, traffic complaints, or to make them in person. If you have video, always good to have video, time, when you took it, etc., and saying that you were the person that took the video. We have, police officers and traffic police officers. We have actually 4 that are dedicated to our area since they merged Stations 9 and 11. So they will do the follow-up. If you'd like, we will look into the possibility of putting a traffic radar sign on Westminster for a short period of time. Again, that probably will confirm that people are going a little faster than they should be going. but you really must make these complaints known to the police so they can attribute more resources to our town. Thank you very much, Oriana, for your questions.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mazzoni, and thank you for your question, Oriana Sartorius. Next question comes to us from Julia Clark, 25 Ballantyne South. I was wondering if the municipality has considered reducing the budget for public security. I believe our town's resources will be better allocated toward things like road repair and productive services for community members. I don't think Montreal-West needs such a large and costly security service. Councillor Mazzoni, please.
Well, Ms. Clark, let me address your question, Julia, directly. You may be confusing our large and costly security service with another town, because I would hardly use those words when we talk about Montreal-West. I just want to give you a little bit of a sense of the budget. And by the way, Councillor Feeney does a great job every December, and it's all online if you want to check this information out. But, you know, public security accounts for, from the local expenses, if you will, just under 5% of our expenses, 4.9%. That's it. 71% of our town's expenses go to the top three: public works, you have recreation, and you have general administration. That's where 71% of our money goes to, at least locally. If you add in all of our expenses in terms of taking in the AGLA monies that we pay, our public security accounts for 3.15%. If you ask me, Ms. Clark, and if you listen to any of the reports I've ever given when I speak about our PSOs, they do an amazing job with the very limited resources we have. And I would go so far as to say that, in fact, I believe our budget should be increased for public security and not decreased or done away with. But I do appreciate you giving me this opportunity to explain to you a little bit of the reality of what goes on in our town. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Mazzoni, and thank you for your question, Julia Clark. Next question comes to us from Julian Mazzoni at 49 Parkside. Hi, Mr. Mayor and Council. I hope you are doing well. I was wondering if the town still does sidewalk cleaning in the spring and summer. I remember in 2014, the town used a tractor and a tanker to clean the sidewalks. Since then, I have not seen it being done in quite some time. Is there a reason why the town does not clean the sidewalks, especially in April after the snow and salt leave marks on the sidewalks? Thank you. Councillor Torres, please, if I can ask you to answer the question. Please unmute your microphone first.
I unmute and then somebody mutes me, so I forget about it. I apologize for that. Thank you for your question, Julian. I want to start by saying, first of all, how much I appreciate your comments. You are very observant, and you're also a young man who's very committed to our town, who's always raising good questions and observations about the way we work and why we do things. So I just want to say that I appreciate it tremendously. And in between councils, if you want to contact me, please ask Councillor Mazzoni to give you my telephone number or my email, and I'll be very happy to talk to you. Now, in regards to your question, actually, we still do. Every spring, we see the little truck with the water tank and the bag cleaning all the sidewalks. Maybe you have not seen it, which I would like to tell me this spring if you don't see them, or you can report that that is not so. So it's something maybe we can look into it. But as far as I know, that is a service that we do all the time. We try to keep our streets and sidewalks very clean, especially in the spring, to remove all that gunk and salt and stuff like that. So thank you so much, Julian, once again, and happy to answer your questions anytime.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres, and thank you for your question, Julian Mazzoni. Next question comes from Tammy Dagenet, 107 Northview. I would like an update on the status of the Montreal-West Day Camp for summer 2021. I'm sorry, I should have grouped your question together with the others, Tammy Dagenet. As I mentioned in Councillor Yulin's report, and I mentioned when I was answering other people's requests for the same answer, the summer camp is being worked on right now by the Recreation Department. We're going under the assumption that we will be able to run a summer camp, always with the proviso that the Quebec government may change the rules. But right now we're planning on having one. You can continue to look for information on the website, but we should be able to have an open registration sometime after spring break for Montreal-West residents. Okay, thank you for your question, Tammy Dagenet. Next question comes from Mike Illy, 62 Ronald Drive. Number one, as previously published, Avon will be rebuilt and repaved. What are the plans for the traffic situation caused by this upcoming work? Brock South and Ronald Drive are already receiving much more traffic due to the construction of the new apartment buildings on Brock South just south of Montreal-Ouest. And we hope that these new streets will not be used at all as a detour. That's the first question. The second question is, Public Works does a great job of removing snow quickly. We understand they alternate ends of the town when starting snow removal, but is it possible to prioritize sections of the streets immediately in front of schools and daycares? So I'll answer the first part of the question. Mr. Ely, when we redo when we redo Avon this year, because we can't do the part from Westminster going to the border of Côte-Neige, Notre-Dame-de-Grâce, because we have to coordinate with the City of Montreal. This year, we will be doing the part going from Avon down to Ronald. And that part will allow us, all going well, to be able to leave one lane open in each direction at a time. So there should be very, very little cut through traffic coming down Ronald. But we always evaluate those things as we're going along, and we'll develop plans accordingly to try and minimize traffic on the adjacent streets. But we continue to monitor. We're continuing to do counts now to get a new status with the opening of the buildings down, as you mentioned, in the old Motel Raphael site. So we will continue to monitor that. But as we stand right now, the plans are to be able to close only portions of Avon at a time so that we don't have to have so many cars coming down the side streets. Thank you for that part of the question. For the second part of the question about snow removal, I'll turn it over to Councillor Torres.
Yes, hi, Michael, how are you? To answer your question, first of all, I want to thank you for your comments regarding the snow removal by our team. We appreciate very much anytime we get comments. Now, you mentioned that you understand that they alternate ends of the town when starting the snow removal, and if it is possible to prioritize sections of streets immediately in front of schools, daycare. Just to let you know, at one point they did change the routes that they used to have, and it became chaotic. Therefore, that was completely eliminated. For efficiency reasons, as well as safety reasons, it is imperative that both our crew, the town crews, and the contractors have a clearly defined route before the snow season starts. So no, we cannot alternate anymore. We found that this is the most efficient and safe way to do it, to have the same route through the whole season, the entire season. Now, all the schools are a priority. We have 3 big schools that made with large number of students at the town, and those are our priority. They do get the snow removed on the first day. That and Westminster are the big first priorities. I cannot talk to you about the daycares right now. I do believe that they do it quite efficiently, and Lucas said it's very soon. So it might be the first or the second day. I want to remind you that we only have 2 crews for the whole town. So it's if it is not on the first, it's on the second day, but they're quite efficient. I hope that answered your question. And if not, please give me a call or ask me next council meeting. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Torres, and thank you for your questions, Mr. Mike Ely. And last question comes from Haley Roop, 165 Bedbrook. Is there some sort of program that teaches citizens which plant to grow that are best for the environment? Are there some that should not be planted due to invasiveness? Who do we contact? Councillor Torres, can you fill in some information there?
Absolutely. Hi, Haley. Thank you for your question. You asked about if there's some sort of program that teaches citizens which plants to grow and what are the best for the environment. No, but this could be one of the issues that we might address in this Environment Action Committee that the Environment Action Committee is organizing this project. It might be a part of an educational information session that we can organize. So thank you. That was a great suggestion. As per the second questions, are there some that should not be planted due to invasiveness? We don't have that information. I will ask what could be done about that type of information, but at the moment we don't have anything like that in town. So thank you so much for your questions, and that's it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres, and thank you for your question, Haley Roop. We're going to move now back to the regular agenda. We're at number 9, contracts in the town clerk's office. 9A, the Senior Advisory Committee. And when we read this may sound familiar, but unfortunately it got caught in some legal snafus with the government. They wanted us to change the wording on this. This is so that we qualify for MATA certification. So they needed us just to modify the wording a bit of this resolution. So I'm going to have Councillor Feeney read out the resolution, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. You're absolutely right about that. So, whereas the town of Montreal-West strives to improve the lifestyle of seniors within the community and has approved a plan of action to this end as an integral part of the municipal age-friendly policy that was adopted by virtue of resolution number 2020-0831-004. Therefore, I move, first, that the town of Montreal-West authorize the establishment of a follow-up committee of the approved plan of action from 2020 to 2025 within the scope of the senior-friendly municipality or Municipalité Amie des Aînés, MADA program. Second, that Councillor Colleen Feeney be appointed as chairperson. Third, that Marion Scully, Recreation Department Manager, be appointed as representative of the town's administration. Fourth, that the following persons be appointed as representative of the Montreal-West seniors from January 1st, 2021 to January 1st, 2022. Fred Bryman, Joanne McPhail, Rosalind Knitter, Ron Smith, and that the following persons be appointed as representatives of outside organizations which play a role in the lives of Montreal-West seniors from January 1st, 2021 to January 1st, 2022. Zelda Freitas, Tracy Swim. Sixth, that the members whose mandate has expired remain on the committee until they are replaced. And finally, seventh, that the resolution replaces resolution number 2020-1130-004 and be deemed effective as of November 30th, 2020.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. Can I have a seconder, please?
Yes, I second it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Aye.
We're moving on to administration and finances, approval of disbursements for January 22nd to February 18th, 2021.
As mentioned in my report, I move that the list of accounts payable from January 22nd to February 18th, 2021, totaling $1,087,780.07 be approved and paid as listed.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. Can I have a seconder, please?
I second it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Very much. B, l'amendement à la résolution 2020-1130-009. Je peux avoir quelqu'un pour proposer la résolution, s'il vous plaît?
Oui. Je propose que le paragraphe 2 de la résolution 2020-1130-009 qui a accordé les contrats pour les collectes des matières organiques soit remplacé par les suivants. Que cette dépense soit imputée au poste budgétaire 02 470 00 490.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Je peux avoir de l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Feeney. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît?
Oui.
See, and just so people know, that was just a question that we had the wrong budget code. So it's just a question of modifying it so that we had the right budget code for our general ledger. Okay, next one, loan by notes in the amount of $1,373,000 for March 2nd, 2021. Can I have somebody move the motion, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I apologize, this is very long and has a whole lot of numbers in it, but they all have to be read to make this official. So, whereas the town of Montreal-West intends to borrow in the long term a total amount of $1,373,000 by way of a series of banknotes over a 5-year period instead of issuing bonds, in accordance with bylaws number 2010-003 and 2015-002. Whereas the town has called for tenders for the issue of banknotes dated March 2nd, 2021 via the Service d'adjudication et de publication des résultats des titres d'emprunt émis aux fins de financement municipal of the Ministry of Finance of Quebec, Whereas 3 tenders were received and deemed conform by the ministry in accordance with Section 555 of the Cities and Towns Act, CQLR, Chapter C-19. And I will give you now the name of the institution, the amount, the particular amount for that year, the interest rate for that year, and the year. Number 1, Banque Royale du Canada, $117,900, 1.32% for 2022, $119,700, 1.32% for 2023, $121,600, 1.32% for 2024, $123,500, 1.32% for 2025, and $890,300 at 1.32% for 2026. The price is $100 and the real cost is 1.32%. And the second bidder was Caisse Desjardins de la Chine. And again, the amounts were $117,900 at 1.32% for 2022, same. $119,700 at 1.32% for 2023, $121,600 at 1.32% for 2024, $123,500 at 1.32% for 2025, $890,300 at 1.32% for 2026. The price again being $100 and the real cost 1.32%. And the third bidder was Financière Banque Nationale Incorporée. And the amounts were $117,900 at 0.55% for 2022, $119,700 at 0.65% for 2023, $121,600 at 0.85% for 2024, $123,500 at 1.10% for 2025, and $890,300 at 1.3% for 2026. The price is $98.887, and the real cost is 1.48911%. Whereas 2 bids have been deemed equally the most advantageous among the 3 offers received, taking into account real costs. Whereas the Ministry of Finance drew lots in accordance with the process to follow in that kind of situation, and as a result, the successful bidder is Banque Royale du Canada. Therefore, I move that the preamble of this resolution be an integral part thereof. Second, that the town of Montreal-West accept the most advantageous offer made by Banque Royale du Canada to borrow $1,373,000 in accordance with Loan Bylaws 2010-003 and 2015-002 by way of serial banknotes within 5 years, each being dated March 2nd, 2021, at a cost of $100 for each nominal value of $100. And third, that the banknotes, capital, and interest be payable by check or by pre-authorized debit to the registered holder.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. Can I have a seconder, please?
Yes, well, Ms. Councillor Feeney, repeat all this again? No. I second the motion.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mazzoni. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Concordance et amendement des règlements d'emprunt. Ça vient de suite à la résolution qu'on vient de lire, d'adopter.
Alors, Monsieur le maire, oui, excuse-moi, si vous voulez, je vais proposer la proposition. Attendu que la Ville de Montréal-Ouest se propose d'emprunter par billet un montant de 1 363 000 $, attendu que ce montant est réparti comme suit. Le règlement, je vais mentionner le règlement d'emprunt ainsi que le montant. Alors, le règlement 2010-003 pour 1 078 100 $. Le règlement 2015-002 TECQ 966047 pour un montant de 164 300 000 $. Et finalement, 2015-002 pour un montant de 130 600 000 $. Alors, attendu que la Ville désire à cette fin se prévaloir des dispositions du premier alinéa de l'article 2 de la Loi sur les dettes et emprunts municipaux, RLRQ, chapitre 10 D7, qui prévoit qu'un tel emprunt peut être réalisé pour un terme plus court que celui originellement fixé au règlement en question. Attendu qu'il y a eu lieu de modifier les 10 règlements d'emprunt en conséquence, alors, Monsieur le maire, je propose que le règlement submentionné soit financé par billet conformément aux stipulations suivantes. Numéro 1, le préambule de la présente résolution en fait partie intégrante. Numéro 2, les billets seront datés du 2 mars 2021. Numéro 3, les billets seront signés par M. Benny Massella, maire, et Mme Valentina Maria Todoran, trésorière. 4, les intérêts seront payables semi-annuellement le 2 mars et le 2 septembre de chaque année. Et 5, les billets quant au capital seront remboursés comme suit. Alors, je vais mentionner l'année ainsi que le montant. 2022, 117 900 $. L'année 2023, 119 700 $. 2024, 121 600 $. 2025, 123 500 $. 2026, 125 600 $ à être remboursés en 2026. Et aussi en 2026, et je pense que c'est 2026 si je ne me trompe pas, 764 700 $ à refinancier. Numéro 6, au fin de cet emprunt, la Ville de Montréal-Ouest émet des billets pour un terme plus court que celui originellement fixé au règlement numéro 2010-003 et 2015-002, c'est-à-dire un terme de 5 ans à compter du 2 mars 2021. Et finalement, en ce qui concerne les amortissements annuels de capital prévus pour les années 2027 et suivantes, chaque émission subséquente s'appliquera au solde ou à une partie du solde dû sur l'emprunt.
Merci, le conseiller Mazzoni. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, monsieur le maire, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Fini. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît?
Oui.
Oui.
See? Number 11, the Urban Department, Site Planning Projects and Architectural Integration Program, SPAIP. Councilor Fini?
Okay, I warn you again, this was a very long meeting with a lot of projects, so bear with me, please. So I move first to acknowledge receipt of the minutes of a meeting held by the Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, on February 17th, 2021. Second, to approve as presented under the SPAIP, the following plans submitted to the meeting in accordance with the recommendation of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. Yeah, I'll give you the address and the project. So 64 to 66 Roxton, construction of a garden shed behind the property line on Hydro-Quebec rented land, 38 Banstead, replacement of 9 windows and 3 doors, option 1. 250 Percival, demolition of a 2-story, 3-season structure in the back and construction of a permanent extension. 18 Rennie, construction of a 2-story extension in the back, replacement of windows and front door, modifications to existing openings, replacement of the fascia, soffits, and shutters. 29 Fenwick, construction of an extension on the back of the existing house and replacement of cladding material on the dormers. 60 Easton, replacement of one window and replacement of a window by a patio door. 57 Ballantyne North, demolition of the backyard mudroom, construction of a 2-story extension on the side and replacement of stucco. 311 Ballantyne North, replacement of 2 windows. 145 Radcliffe, replacement of pavers and railings on front landing and stairs. 109 Strathern North, replacement of a single door by a double French door, enlarging one window and creating exit stairs from the basement to the back facade, as well as replacement of the basement door, replacement of 2 windows by a larger window on the side of the facade, and replacement of 9 other windows. 39 to 43 Westminster North, replacement of a commercial sign. Third, to approve with conditions under the SPAIP the following plans submitted to this meeting in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 74 Easton, demolition of the backyard mudroom and construction of a larger room extension in the backyard, replacement of windows and doors, replacement of cladding material, construction of a deck in the side yard. 38 Campbell, construction of an extension on the side and replacement of cladding material around the front door and painting of existing doors, windows, fascia, and other trims. 101 Westminster North, installation of 1 commercial sign. 318 Ballantyne North, replacement of a single door by a double French door in the back. 6 Courtney, replacement of a single door and window by a patio door. 30 Ballantyne South, adding a window in the basement. 314 Northview, replacement of 47 windows and 4 doors. 11 Banstead, replacement of 8 windows and 2 patio doors. Fourth, to defer the examination of the following plans to a next meeting of this council in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 57 Ballantyne North, the part of the project that deals with new windows, doors, and trim. 18 to 20 Wolseley South, replacement of 22 windows, 1 door, and cladding material. And 5, to refuse the following plans in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 216 Percival, replacement of the front stairs and railings. 25 Garden, construction of a mudroom in front of the house and replacement of the second floor front window by a patio door.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. Can I have a seconder, please?
Mr. Mayor, I second that motion.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mazzoni. All in favor, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Very much. We have a minor exemption request for 145 Ballantyne South. So I'm going to ask Councillor Feeney just to give us a précis, please.
Okay, so this is no change that's currently being asked for in this building. This is a house that was seemingly like this all along. However, and it is now for a real estate transaction. But it turns out that the lateral setback, I'm sorry, is a little bit too close to the line, whether that changed over the years in terms of the zoning bylaws or not. The result of this is that it's about 0.55 of a meter short of the current lateral setback. So this is to regularize that for a real estate transaction.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. Can I have somebody make the motion, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I will do so. I move, Mr. Mayor, that the plans and requests submitted to the January 20, 2021 meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee be approved in accordance with bylaws 2010-002 and G-18-0005 for the following minor exemptions from the schedule of uses and standards in effect under section 3.2.2 of the zoning bylaw regarding the immovable located at 145 Ballantyne South in zone RA-92. Effectively normalize an encroachment of the main building on the north side, which is located at 0.65 meters from the property line, while the minimum lateral setback is of 1.2 meters, the consequence being to reduce this requirement by 0.55 meters.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mazzoni. I think my internet is acting up tonight. So if I could have somebody, if you guys can hear me, if I could have somebody second that motion, please.
I second it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. All in favor, please.
Aye.
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 Thank you very much. There's nothing under Public Works. There's nothing under Human Resources. We're going right to appointments. La désignation du maire suppléant. Les dernières personnes ayant occupé ce poste de maire suppléant en commençant avec le plus récent titulaire sont Elizabeth Hewlin, Dino Mazzoni, Colleen Feeney et Maria Torres. Alors, je vais demander quelqu'un de proposer la résolution, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose que la conseillère Maria Torres soit nommée à titre de maire suppléant pour les mois d'avril, mai, juin et juillet pour l'année 2021. Deuxièmement, que la conseillère Maria Torres soit aussi désignée pour remplacer, au besoin, Monsieur le maire Benny Massala au conseil d'agglomération et qu'une copie certifiée de la présente résolution soit transmise à ce propos, si nécessaire, au conseil d'agglomération. Et troisièmement, que cette nomination prenne effet le 1er avril 2021.
Merci, la conseillère Feeney. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, j'appuie la proposition.
Merci, le conseiller Mazzoni. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
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 Merci. There's nothing under deposit of documents, nothing under notice of motion. And we come to the second question period. We've asked that people send in questions related strictly to the agenda. And I'm looking now at my emails, and I don't see anything there. So second question period, there are no questions. Alors, je vais demander quelqu'un pour la levée de la séance, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose de lever la séance.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Feeney. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Oui.
Merci tout le monde. Thank you very much, everyone. It was a long and wordy meeting tonight. There's a lot of nuts and bolts business that we had to take care of. It's something that we have to do every year, but it was like deadly tonight. So I apologize for that. Hopefully the next one will move a little bit quicker. So thank you very much. Merci tout le monde d'avoir assisté ce soir. La prochaine réunion, ça sera vers la fin de mars. Alors, je vous souhaite la santé. Et que vous restez toujours en sécurité avec vous et vos proches. Please, everybody, keep healthy, keep safe, keep secure, and hopefully we'll get to the end of all this junk very, very soon. Thank you very much. Good night. Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.